Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by that fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about baseball cards. And yes, this is part 2 of my epic national. Part 1, we went over a bunch of cards in the first few days of the national, and I think I left it off with Friday morning. Yeah, we went to the splintered YouTube gathering, and we took our group over to Shirtless Joe and had a great night Thursday night. And I went in and went back to the hotel and had some fun talking to folks until, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning. Went to sleep, woke up bright and early Friday morning. Now, Friday was a day where we had the big ash dinner at the end of the day. And but we had a full day to do just the whole show and the videos and pictures, etc. And I had such a great time hanging out with Matt from Providence that I decided to see if I could find him. And I ran into him pretty early on in the show on Friday. And let's go right to the action here. Yeah. So Matt had suitcases. He had another thing, and he was buying inventory. He's like I said, the best vintage dealer in New England, and needs inventory. So I guess for New England purposes, this is about the best you're going to get. So Matt had purchased from, I don't know who, a whole bunch of these. These are prints, Prints, of Ted Williams. Beautiful print of him swinging the bat, classic Ted swing, and a nice big autograph right in the middle. So it's this. It's like the size. You can see how big it is. It's one of those breakfast tray PSA holders. But this is quite. Let me get me alone here. This is quite a fantastic item. And Matt opened up his bag and showed me how many he had and picked one out and showed it to me. And I looked at it and I said, "Wow." So I offered him more money than he had paid for one of them to buy one of them, and gave Matt an instant profit. Probably not as much as he's going to make when he takes these back to New England. But so Matt was nice enough to give me a very, very nice deal on a fantastic item. I'm just floored by how nice this is. And it's not like regular paper. It's like a sort of cardboardish stock with little, like a bumpy kind of surface. I'm not sure what you call this kind of paper. I'm sure somebody in the comments can tell me, but really very, very nice thing. And so the cool thing about it, let me go back to this. Cool thing about it is I got you a close-up picture of the label here, and it says print Ted Williams, near mint 8 on the autograph, which I don't know how this is an 8 in the autograph. I don't care. The 8 makes no difference at all. I think it's probably because Ted kind of messed up the S in Williams, but whatever. But if you look at the next line, Williams Family Collection. Now, that means to me that they put these together. The family had Ted sign a bunch of these, and then later on, when I was showing this around to guys who were more familiar with the story of the Ted Williams family, Ted is known as, of course, the greatest hitter that ever lived, and was a complicated individual. He had multiple wives. And I guess was not the greatest dad. I don't know. I mean, that's for history to decide. But later in life, his son is said to have sort of used Ted to continue to sign and sign and sign. Had him sign in 24 hours, 7 days a week, every time he was awake, just so that I guess they could make money. So I guess maybe there's an unfortunate sort of dark side to this item. But if you wipe all that away, I mean, I'm gonna try to find a spot for this somewhere up here. This on the top of this, which you can't really see. There's some space. I'm gonna need to get a pretty heavy holder because this is not gonna, the plastic card holders or even Drew's really wonderful wood card holders not gonna hold this. I even tried 2 of Drew's and it just won't. It's too heavy. So I'm gonna have to get something. I can't really put it up on the wall because it's not really, it's a PSA gigantic slab, so it's not really a way to do that. So we'll see what we can do. But anyway, got this wonderful item. Very happy to have it, and it was extremely inexpensive. Obviously, didn't go to the National expecting to get an item like this, but when you're in a room where they've got everything ever ever printed in baseball card world, you go ahead and you buy something like this if a friend will give you a nice deal on it. So thank you to Matt from Providence. Also, I should mention on Friday night, after the Ash dinner, I left a little bit early so that I could go on to a live stream. It was 9 o'clock local time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. I was on because I'm Carlos's live stream. I was on for over 2 hours and just had a ball talking about the National and giving sort of on the ground coverage and talking about some of the issues that had happened and joking around and just having a general fun time of it. And so I decided that Friday afternoon that I should have some hockey cards to show if I'm going to be on a show with not only Carlos is Canadian, but Bobby Burrell, the great writer and historian of hockey. And so I was able to purchase a couple of these cool cards. They are 1970 Dad's Cookies. And of course, the great Bobby Hull. Who doesn't want a Bobby Hull card? I'm going to have this great. It's a very nice example. And we learned some history from Bobby Burrell when I was showing these cards about how there was a problem between the NHL and the NHL Players Association. The Players Association went off and signed their own merchandise deal. So this actually says, let me show me on my own. You can see the bottom of this. It says 1969 NHL Players Associations. This is a card printed by, you can see it up here, Dad's Cookies, and by the Players Association. So a nice contract for them to make a little bit of money because they weren't getting it from the NHL itself. So I'm going to grade this Bobby Hull. Also got the Eddie Johnston, who was the goalie for the Bruins. So nice to get some hockey cards in there. And not a big hockey collector, but it was good for the show. And certainly that Hull will look nice in a slab. So I also had missed on Wednesday and Thursday meeting up with Henry Reynolds, who I know from a GroupMe chat that I have with a lot of my old card buddies from Twitter. And so Henry was set up. I've known Henry for a few years. Terrific guy, terrific dealer. I've bought from him multiple times and saw him at the National last year. He missed Strongsville because of a family event. I think it was a wedding that he was in. So as a member of the wedding party, so he couldn't really miss that. But I believe Henry's going to be at Strongsville this year, which will be really cool. But he just has a tremendous selection of cards. The problem was that's pretty much out of funds at this point. And my hobby budget had really almost reached the max. But I saw this in his case. This is, again, Johnny Evers. This is a Brothers Bread Buttercrust card. It's a set that I do not have a card in. And, yeah, it's a 1.5. But you know what? Look at that. The color is nice. It's a card you don't see very often. I'm not sure the pop. I didn't look it up, but I will. It's not much. And then I love the backs on these. The Brothers Buttercrust, Buster Brown, Peerless fan. It's like all different bread types. And I know this is from I forget the name of the bread company, but there's a bread company that did better bread for Buffalo. 25 subjects in this set, one of each loaf of the above bread. So these all Peerless family. That's what it is. The Peerless family breads. So they're all different types of backs. And this is just a nice card, a nice yellow green, nice picture of nice artwork of Johnny Evers here. And he's on Chicago because it's 11-14, but he was on 14. He was on the Braves. But so this goes in as a type card for this set and also 1914 Braves. So that pretty much did me in for cash for the rest of the show. I actually bought this half in cash and half in Venmo. Thank you, Henry, for letting me do that. And I wish that I had seen Henry earlier because he had some incredible cards in his cases, and I know other YouTube people purchased from him. But we'll catch up with him again in Strongsville and certainly chat with him in the group me and maybe get a big card, a comma card. This was not inexpensive, but it was not a comma. Let's put it that way. So maybe we'll get a big comma from Henry next time. But always great to see him and chat about cards and our mutual friends, and and end up picking up this terrific card. So also got to go to the Ash dinner. As you can see, I'm wearing this nice collared shirt. I thought it was going to be kind of a get dressed up event, but I guess everybody else was wearing t-shirts and shorts. I was kind of the best dressed man in the room, which isn't very common. I can tell you that much. So let me talk about the gentleman on the left. That is Keith from Lonely Basement Baseball Cards. Keith, I know he's from upstate New York. Not far upstate, but he's up above Westchester. Let's put it that way. And so we run into each other at most of the New York shows, and he and I have become pretty good friends. He was on one of my Four Collectors show, and we chat about the Yankees and such. And Keith really was a hobby hero this week. He went to the Four Collectors Vintage Trade Night, and while all of us were we're doing what we had to do, Keith took the bull by the horns and actually did the live stream for us on the Four Collectors channel, going around talking to people, showing the tables, showing the crowd, and just having a wonderful time with the live stream that I think it got over 100 views, and without almost no warning. I think Theo did a thumbnail for it like 20 minutes earlier, and then we did the live stream, so it wasn't like people were waiting for it or expected it, but it did really well, and Keith did a fantastic job with that. And then at the end of the night, we had a lot of material left over, cards, wax packs, bags, the goodie bags that hadn't been handed out, and none of us had driven. All of the Four Collectors had flown to the show, but Keith had driven and drove from upstate New York to Chicago, which is quite a drive. But anyway, volunteered to take all of this stuff with him in his car, back to New York. At some point I'll meet up with him and get it from him, but real hobby hero, doing some good work for both the live stream and handing off some materials for us, and ever thankful to a gentleman showing such such generosity of time and spirit. And thanks, Keith. So on the right, of course, is Greg from Midlife Sports Cards, a good friend and a wonderful guy and a wonderful channel. You, of course, if you're watching this, you probably already follow Greg. Saw him a bunch of times during this week, and just always a great hangout, and talking cards and talking life and talking other stuff. And really happy to have become friends with Greg over the last couple of years. Just top quality individual. On the left is Jason from Everyday Card Collector. Jason was able to show us his pickups. This was Friday night, so he had gone through, I guess, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the show, and just nailed it. I mean, just did a fantastic job of picking out cards that fit into his collection, and we're you can see right there, he's holding up a home run derby card, Al Kaline, which he also got from Mike Petty, and also got, similar to me, a nice deal on it. And in his right hand there is the 1954 Red Heart Stan Musial, one of the best cards in the entire hobby. And he's got some other big size, oversized cards that he is really doing great, picking up some 39 Gaudy premiums and some others that were just great pickups. So Jason did a great job at the show, and also a hobby hero for driving people all around. I know he picked up at least 3 different people at 2 different airports and drove people around. I got a ride back from the Ash thing to my hotel so that I could get onto that live stream from Jason. So thank you, Jason, for not only giving me a ride, but giving a bunch of other people a ride, and being just overall great hobby man, and terrific to see him do such a great job with pickups. He also he lives in the area, so I think he knew the roads a little bit better, so to avoid traffic. So that was great. On the right, you can see a bunch of people there. It was a foursome. I did not get a picture of Ash's face, unfortunately. That's the back of his head, but Ash was the host of this event. That is Darren from Return to Collecting. That is his brother Dean right there on his left, and then of course Orlando on the right there, and they were having a chat about cards, and of course, probably talking about some of the bangers that Ash had in his display. That is on the right, of course, Scott from Reindeer Studios, and he I'll get to him at the end of this, but Scott was, I saw Scott. We walked the floor a little bit, hung out. That is Carl from Australia, who I guess is the man who came the longest for this show. Sadly, Carl was in this country for a memorial service for a friend of his, which corresponded with the time of the National. So Carl was able to make it to the National all the way from Australia. And we have Jeremy Lee there on the left with me. Jeremy, I saw a bunch of times, not only at Ash's dinner and the brunch, but also on the floor. And at one point on Saturday, it was Saturday, I got to go up on stage, the main stage, with Jeremy to talk about baseball cards with Chris Sewell, collecting strategies, off the grid, sort of not following checklists kind of thing, and creating your own checklists. And it was fun to do that. And thank you for Jeremy for that opportunity. On the right there is Jeremy's back, but also that is the great Mike Petty, who was so instrumental in getting us those the Home Run Derby cards, but also was very generous throughout the week in terms of buying some food for stuff and helping people out, and just a hobby hero, a guy that, he's in the comments and, he's doing his rants, and, he comes off maybe as a guy who has got strong opinions, but he also has strong friendships, and he is just a terrific man, and I'm so happy to have gotten to know him. On the left there, you can see Theo. That is Darren's dad, Steve, and then that is Tony, son of the collector there, in the I guess the orange Tennessee hat, Tennessee Vols. And I should also say that Tony was very generous this week, in particular with one other hobby person helping him land a card. And there's Darren again with George, who we saw earlier, George Diamond Yard Sports Cards, who I got that Diamond Stars Greenberg from. And there's a group of guys together. Eddie on the left, that is James Elite Hunter in the Elite Hunters with the Yankee jersey. That is John from Wade Box Fan in the middle there, wearing looks like he's wearing the Vintage Trade Night shirt there. That's cool. Eric from Four Leaf, who is not a face to the camera, so we got him a little hidden there. But Eric was nice to get in the picture, and of course Scott again. So that was the Ash dinner on Friday night. On Saturday, we had a bunch of things to do. We had the trade night in the evening, starting at 6:00. Before that, there is a recording studio on site for the National that they give like an hour to content creators, and Four Collectors were able to get in there on 3:30, I guess it was, on Saturday. And before that, like I said, I was briefly on stage with Jeremy Lee there at the main stage. And then, walk the floor a little bit. By Saturday, like I said, it was kind of out of funds. So it was more of a social thing. So I had the opportunity to hang out with Tony. TJ's online. He's on the right there. Wearing the Clemente shirt. And that is Andrew Duff Said Cards in the middle, who I had the opportunity to, just by happenstance, see Andrew land a absolutely gorgeous red Babe Ruth Gowdy card, graded 4.5, but really just a fantastic card all around. So that was nice to see. Got some time to catch up with Andrew, and really, really fine gentleman. Also, right before the Vintage Trade Night began, you see I'm wearing the Vintage Trade Night shirt there, ran into Picker Jim. Picker Jim is from the Boston area. Met him for the first time at Shriners last year, and would, of course, hope to see him again at its coming Shriner, but got a nice chance to chat a little bit with Jim right before the Vintage Trade Night, which we've got some videos for collectors, and you'll see, and there's a lot on YouTube about it. So I'm not going to talk about it that much, and I didn't really take that many photos. I was kind of working the show a little bit, but in the video, I took some screenshots of me interacting with John Mangini, who I should say I didn't take any pictures of John Mangini, which I should have because I walked the floor with him, and it's a fun thing walking the floor with John because everybody recognizes him, and he reacts with such kindness and openness with people, and somebody will say, "Hey, John, President," whatever. He's just friendly with people, and he's very good. He's got a very good spirit, and so that you spend a lot of time when you're with John just walking around having him get recognized while you're just standing there next to him, which is fun and funny at the same time. But I did get to go to lunch with John on Friday, with Rick and Orlando, and John would not let anyone else take the tab, so he picked up the bill and paid for lunch. Thank you, John. You are a kind and generous person. And there I am pointing and saying, "This is John Mangini. He treated us all to lunch, and he's the hobby president." And then in the next screen, there I am saying, "This is me saying Mangini and pointing at him," and then this is me saying how nice he is, and him giving me a look over his shoulder. So yeah, it was all in good fun. That is actually 2 screenshots taken from the screen grabs from the Four Collectors video about Vintage Trade Night, which is really good, and I'll link to it below. Theo did the editing on that and did a terrific job. So there were gifts, there were friends. Dave from Legends of the Dugout just gave me this cool card about Yankee Stadium. It is a where is it? It's what did I do with it? Damn it! There it is. It is a 1954 Quaker Oats Sports Oddities, number 27 Yankee Stadium. So it's got this great photo on the front, not photo, it's a great artistic rendition of Yankee Stadium there on the left, which I find to be kind of interesting because it doesn't show anything around Yankee Stadium that's there now. This is like early 50s artwork. So that you can see the subway on the right, and River Avenue is right there, and then you could see the fields on behind it, which is where the current Yankee Stadium is located, but not much else. And if you are familiar with Yankee Stadium, this area of the Bronx is very packed in, so I find that kind of humorous. And then I don't know who that player is, but it's a left-handed batter making some pretty good contact and basically exploding the baseball. And on the back, there's a description of Yankee Stadium and some history about it. So that was a cool gift from Dave. And thank you very much, Dave. Dave also brought with him a couple of Belgian beers to the room, which were great. And I thank Dave for that. Wonderful man. Not just a hobby hero, but an American hero. A veteran, served this country for many years. And just, one of the people that I'm proud to call my friend. And so proud to call a lot of these people friends. Got some cards, didn't get cards from everybody, but this is a nice selection of them. Upper left is George Diamond Yard Sports card. Upper right is the Four Collectors card, which you'll see if you come to Strongsville, where you'll be handing out plenty of those. Eddie gave me a couple of things. He's got this Harvey Haddix artwork here, and then there's a Four Collectors sticker. Below that, Eddie does some of this work. This is Eddie Cardboard Chaos, does some of the work. Artwork, and there's a Griffey with Seattle behind him. It's a really nice piece of art. To the right of that is John, 3D80s kid, taking the classic 53 Bowman Pee Wee Reese card and putting his head, you can't really see it in there, but putting his head onto this sliding person. Above that on the right was probably the most inventive card of all the cards I got. That is Dean. And he did a Retorado card for himself, and that's him on the front. Dean is West 238 is the name of his channel, which of course I'll link below. But on the back of this, look what he did here. Let me just show you this here. Whoops, sorry about that. West 238th Street, and he put his channel description in Spanish on the back of this card as if it were a Retorado card. So I was actually kind of blown away by that. And then Jeremy Lee took it to another level also. Of course, Jeremy had purchased, it was one of the biggest purchases in the hobby, so to speak, over the last few months. And it was the Joe Jackson Cracker Jack card that he purchased. And he's talked about it, and so he put together a card of himself um, in the Joe Jackson Cracker Jack spirit. And if I could find it here, there it is. Let me just get to it. He made various like this is the 2 of 5. You can see on there. Let me see if I can get this right. 2 of 5. So I got one of the out of 5s. I guess it's a modern card thing where they do certain things, but Jeremy's card, and then it's got a description of him on the back, like as if it were a Cracker Jack card. So that's a cool card for a channel. So kudos to Jeremy for that, and everyone else. I mean, just these are cool things to get, and people hand them to you, and you chat a little bit about them and figure out, now you have the information. I know I have George's email address, and how to contact people, what the channels are, all that stuff. It's a good idea. I hand out the 4 collector's cards because my name is on it, but I don't have a card for this channel. So this is the last slide and the last thing to discuss. So at the Vintage Trade Night in Strongsville, Scott from Ranger Studios set up and sold some of his artwork and his T-shirts and some other stuff, and it was fun and good, and he had a successful night. And so again, we invited him to set up at the Vintage Trade Night at the National, which he did. He brought a couple of pieces of art. Actually, I think he brought, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen pieces of art. One of them was the Joe Jackson painting that he did for Hobbypalooza. He did a one, and then he did another one that ultimately went to Tony Southern Collector. And this was the one that he did originally that was there, and it was quite a piece of art. And next to it was this smaller piece of art, which is of course Yogi Berra, a nice portrait of Yogi Berra, and I was taken aback by just how good this was, and how just the details are there, and the feeling, and you just kind of feel the smile. And Yogi Berra is not an attractive man, or wasn't an attractive man by any stretch of the imagination, but he had a spirit to him, and the spirit comes out on this piece of art. And Scott is a very talented man, and I told him how much I enjoyed this. And then I went over and sat down to do what I had to do for the Vintage Trade Night. And later on, Leighton Sheldon came over and started talking to me, and we were chatting. Leighton, of course, was one of the sponsors for the Vintage Trade Night. Thank him. We thank him very much for doing that, and has been a friend of mine for quite a number of years at this point. And said to me, he was talking to Scott and trying to negotiate, and I was wondering if if I could go talk to him and see if we could, maybe work out to get Leighton that Joe Jackson painting. And I went over and talked to Scott, and we, had a conversation. I told him about Leighton, what he'd been doing for the Vintage Trade Night, and they worked it out. So Leighton went back over and came back to me with the Joe Jackson and with this, and put it on the little stand. I've got it right over here. You can see here's the it survived the trip, thankfully. And here's the stand. So it's right here on my desk, right next to me, because it's a special item for a number of reasons. I'm about to get to the second reason why it's very special. Leighton put it down next to me and said, you know who owns this now? And I was not sure what he meant. I said, what do you mean who owns it now? You bought it. And yeah, he did buy it, but he said, it's yours. And I was touched. I'm still touched now. It was kind of the culmination of the whole week come together at once. Good friends, baseball, artwork, an event that we put together that we did a lot of work on. Theo, John, Sammy obviously did most of the work. I just did a little bit of it and sat there and helped out a little bit at the show. But to have a friend come over to you and hand you something like this, which is right here now, sitting right next to me, and will forever be sitting right next to me. It reminds me of Scott. It reminds me of the National. It reminds me of how great the trade night was. And of course, it reminds me, most importantly, of my friendship with Leighton. And I am incredibly touched to have received this piece of artwork. So there you go. That's what it's all about. that's what the hobby's all about. And if you can encompass everything that was great about the week and put it into one piece that will sit here right next to me every time I do a video, every time I sit at my desk in my hobby room looking at my cards, I'll of course have that right next to me. And thank you, Leighton. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, For Collectors, and thank you all the friends that I had an opportunity to hang out with this past week. It's about the cards. I got some great cards, but it's mostly about the friends. And they came in bundles this week, and I cannot thank everybody enough for everything they did this week and all the great stuff that happened and all the great handshakes and hugs and discussions and smiles and laughs and all the rest of it. So that's it. That's my national experience, and I'm going to be coming back to my channel for just the old regular stuff. But every year, of course, I'm happy to go to these major events, and of course, the next one I'll be going to shows. I might be going to White Plains at the end of this month, and Philly, of course, in September. Philly again in November. I'm sorry, December. Maybe a few others. I'm setting up at a show at the end of September in Brooklyn. So there's a lot of shows, but these big ones where you get to see everyone coming from across the country are the big ones and the special ones, and they're always just such a great opportunity to experience the hobby. I would encourage anybody who feels like they would like to have an experience like this to come to Strongsville. Strongsville is a different kind of experience. It's a smaller group of people. It's mostly all YouTube guys and vintage cards, and the get-togethers are smaller but just as good. We all stay in the same hotel, and we all have a great time together. So I would encourage anybody to come to Strongsville. It's not until April, so it's you got some time to plan it. But anyway, so thanks folks for watching the channel. Thanks folks for all of the positive feedback since the last national. I've had a tremendous year of the hobby, and somebody said this is like hobby New Year's, and so now it's like the beginning of the new year in the hobby now. So I just had the opportunity to join up with For Collectors, continue my own channel, make a lot of new friends, new hobby friends, new real friends, new life friends, some of whom I communicate with every day, and just put together a collection that you can see behind me is growing and growing, and just curating it and making sure that I have the cards that mean something to me. And so just very, very thankful that this year has been, since the last national to this year, has been so fruitful for me in terms of just people, cards, people, friendships, and all that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you back again here next week.